I need to talk about this. Popular far-right influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate, they're back on U.S. soil more than 2 years after they were arrested in Romania on human trafficking charges. Andrew Tate was also charged with rape. The brothers deny the allegations. The brothers, who are self-described misogynists, are also vocal supporters of President Trump. And it was the Trump administration that reportedly pressured the Romanian government to lift their travel restrictions. NBC News has not been able to confirm that reporting. Our nightcap's still here. Okay. Here's what I get. For at least the last 10, 15 years, kind of the Neanderthal bro meatheads were quickly labeled toxic males, which was a mistake, right? Just because you're a meathead does not mean your behavior is toxic. But I get that brought many of these young men into the arms of the likes of a Joe Rogan, right? My sons love a Pat McAfee, the Nelk Boys, all of that. I absolutely get that. But these men, what they're accused of, human trafficking, on what planet would it make sense for any part of the MAGA movement or the administration? Alina Habba, the president's former personal lawyer, now part of the administration, was just on a podcast with this guy saying, I'm a big fan of yours. How is this a smart move? How is this even a good move? Again, this just goes back to decency.
You're asking me, and I just want to say, Stephanie...
Because I think maybe you were a meathead back in the day.
I hate you for inviting me on the show and forcing me to learn about Andrew Tate, who I was able to live blissfully without.
Not anymore.
I had to prepare for this show. Look, I think it's part of a whole idea out there that there was a better time in America, a better time in our culture. And for some people, that's a time when men dominated and women were subordinate to men. And I think that's part of it. And I don't think I have much more to add to that other than that's, if you really want to go find, when was that pristine, halcyon time in America, I think that's part of that whole vision of what they want to go back to.
But these two men, this goes beyond that, to the point where Ron DeSantis said, no, thank you, do not come to Florida. And let's be honest, Florida's the home of Tiger King. They let it rip down there. This one, to me, just seems like a bridge too far.
I think that this is like with the January 6th rioters. Like, this is, if you support Trump, the law doesn't apply to you, right? That this is this idea of a permission structure where if you're one of Trump's people, you can get special stuff. And I think that it's meant to sort of send a message more than anything else.
What do you think?
They appear to be criminals. So I don't know how this works politically over the long term. Yes, he won the election, but it was a very narrow win. It's a deeply divided election. How can this possibly appeal most of all to women? So I don't understand.
But even if I'm part of the bro movement, right? Even if I'm part of the bro movement, I would say, like, you know what? Yes, this is our team, but not these guys. Like,
you would. Yeah, you would. But I think.
I find Theo Vaughn funny. Like, I see the lane for it, but this one is a hard no.
No, I agree with you, obviously, but I think that this is in part a political move. I mean, everything that I feel in a lot of ways, anything.
This doesn't seem like good politics.
Right. It's not good politics, but Trump, we know that in the election, a lot of the base that he targeted were white, male, uneducated voters. And a lot of them are the ones who are following this guy, Andrew Tate, and his brother, and the two criminals that they are, and are inspired by them. We can talk about, the psychoanalysis of why there is this movement and why they have all these supporters. But that, to me, this move was purely political, was my base likes them. Okay, I'm going to engage in this toxic masculinity and make a point of saying, I don't believe in that, even that term. And so I'm going to go to the point of pressuring Romania to let them come. And you don't see, I'm glad DeSantis said that they're not welcome in Florida, but I don't see much.
There was a lot of pushback. And
yeah.
The evangelicals are part of this coalition. I mean, this is not, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the evangelical subculture, but even they were like, this is really not.
Well, were you surprised when Ron DeSantis did this?
I mean, I don't think we should be surprised by bravery, which any kind of criticism of Trump by a Republican can now be classified as quote unquote bravery. So I don't want to be surprised, but of course you have to be surprised when any Republican stands up to Trump at all, even a little.
Do you think he'll end up getting any pushback?
I mean, we're so down the rabbit hole and things are moving so quickly that it's hard to know. But we did see a few Republicans sort of dip there. I mean, because also Mike Lawler, who wants to run for governor of a blue state, also criticized Trump for his Zelensky meeting. So there have been a few, but very, 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 very
Steph, how do you have a hard time seeing this as just part of the grievance culture? It's part of, look, the
But
people who
because
are
here's why.
the dominant ones arguing that they are being discriminated against. That's
Because here's
part
why.
and parcel of the whole thing.
Because I can see the point of the bro culture. I can see, right? Molly and I are mothers to teenage sons. So I can actually, while I might not be a fan of these people, I can see it. I can see, and I'm not making an excuse for them, how lots of young, specifically white men feel like nobody's listened to them. You know, they haven't had a shot. You know, they've been surrounded by You Go Girl t-shirts for the last 15 years. I actually can hold space for that. But this, to me, why on earth would you say, let me go out of my way to bring these two men accused of human trafficking? Human trafficking is different from being a jerk ass who doesn't call a woman back or says, hey, babe, when you walk by. That's a totally different lane, right? The argument that, like, can I tell somebody she's hot? Sure, tell somebody she's a hot, smoking piece of who know what. That can sit over here. But bringing these potentially criminals back to U.S. soil, that doesn't fly.